We're talking with William Neuheisel from the DC Central Kitchen. He's the communications manager. Hey, William.
Hey.
Tell me a little bit about how you guys decide what goes out. So what you put on your website, email, Facebook, social media, whatever you guys, all the different channels you use. How do you actually go through that process of deciding what goes out?
Sure. So we're a very dynamic organization, and we're sort of known for starting new programs and initiatives and sort of turning on a dime. So I'm often sort of almost caught off guard by some of the new initiatives and programs and cool stuff that we're doing. So we try to plan the major things out almost a year in advance, because we know the big events we're going to have to be marketing for. We have those sort of knowns are on the calendar. We know, when the major email blasts are going out for the invite to our major event. But then on a more frequent basis, I'm meeting with our program staff on a weekly basis saying, what's coming up for you this week? So for example, this week was St. Patrick's Day, and we had the culinary job training students cooked a lot of green foods, and so it was a great opportunity. We obviously thought of a Facebook photo, putting it out there, just showing that little things of interest that come up, little tidbits here and there. So
is that like a regular staff meeting where you're discussing lots of different things, or is it specifically a communications meeting?
It's really a communications meeting. I set up a call usually with our program staff, and they kind of tell me what they've got on their dockets for the week.
And they know that's something that they need to do. They make time for it.
Yep. So they know that they're gonna. It's a weekly established meeting that we've got. That they just talk to me about what they've got going on.
Okay, great. So what happens when you guys get a brilliant idea for something? How does that go from somebody's brilliant idea to actually getting out to all of the fans and followers?
Right. So we've got a very small development and communications staff. So it's me and our development director and a communications development associate. And so really we're pretty nimble. We have a communications meeting once every week, and that's kind of our space to brainstorm ideas. We try to get at least one major story on our website every week to really highlight something, and then hopefully get at least one post a day on our Facebook page, for example. And for example, on Facebook, we found that photos and video do really well. So we're looking for good photo opportunities usually there. And then on Twitter, we're looking to post a couple updates throughout the day. So we're really looking for lots of good micro content. And one of the things that I found really helpful is to really empower our staff with social media. So like to give Twitter accounts, for example, to one of our chefs and a couple of the program staff, so that they're sort of, through that, I'm monitoring what they're posting, and they're sort of feeding me these little tidbits that I can then repurpose and share on our main accounts.
So how do you support those program people as the communications director to actually really speak for the organization?
Right, so we have a pretty diverse set of people. I mean, we've got a kitchen manager who used to be a bank robber. Our founder used to be a punk rocker and nightclub manager. And kind of everything. We got chefs who used to work at some of the best fine dining establishments in the country. So we really want to bring out those sort of unique, quirky personalities and let them really engage with people, because they're really good at it, and it's a compelling and interesting sort of face for the organization rather than sort of a more monolithic face to present.
And a couple of them blog too, is that right?
Our founder blogs, and then our chef who does our school food initiatives just started blogging on another local blog, so she's a contributor to that on school food.
So if you had to summarize the personality of DC Central Kitchen in a couple of words, what would you say is your organizational personality then?
So we just try to be really uplifting and quirky and willing to sort of stir things up to sort of lift the debate and sort of push into new areas with that, in terms of what can a nonprofit be and what does that look like.
A lot of nonprofits are afraid of the idea of being a little quirky. How do you think that helps you?
I think it's great. Our founder, for example, gets so much interest because, I mean, half the time he's swearing on Twitter, or he dedicated his book to the drummer from the Ramones, and I think people really react positively to that. I've seen nothing but good feedback from that.
I think some people might assume that that kind of attitude might be a detriment to fundraising, like it might offend some people? What's your kind of feeling about that?
You know, even I was pushed to what I was uncomfortable with this past summer when our founder released a video where he actually flipped off Rush Limbaugh, gave him the finger on video on YouTube. The video took off and went, not viral maybe, but it got a lot of views. It got about 50,000 views in 3 days. And we had a ton of donations that poured in saying, I want to give to you guys because you actually stood up and said something when others wouldn't.
And did you hear from anybody that said, I'm not giving to you anymore because of that?
No.
So
I wouldn't advise necessarily to go around flipping people off on YouTube, but it definitely increased, made me feel a little bit safer in terms of just really being true to ourselves.
Right, maybe move the line a little bit.
Right, definitely move
Great.
the line.
So what are some of the things that you're working on in the coming weeks and months that you're excited about as a communications professional?
Right, so we actually are just finishing up a small campaign we did through social media mostly to raise funds to start a truck farm, which is a sort of mobile garden that we'll be doing to sort of bring gardening to youth in urban areas in what we sometimes term as food deserts, where there's not a lot of fresh food access available, and certainly not gardens and farming. So we're going to show a lot of those kids where the food actually comes from and show them how to garden and sort of generate interest in that.
So the garden is going to be on the back of a truck?
It's on the back of a truck. This
Wow.
is actually an idea that came from a documentary that they did in New York, and some of our younger staff just saw that and thought, well, wouldn't that be cool? And so we said, well, what does it take to do this? About $4,000 to $5,000 just to get a truck and get it outfitted and buy gas.
Just like a big flatbed or what?
Yeah, just a normal pickup truck. It's not it's never going to turn a lot of produce, but it's enough to demonstrate. Here's how you grow some tomatoes and cucumbers, and here's how you make a salsa for kids.
Great.
So I'm really excited we're just finishing up that campaign, and we're going to follow up with our donors and talk about that a lot, and we'll be posting a lot of working to show the success of that campaign.
Awesome. So where can we find you guys online?
dccentralkitchen.org.